welcome in to witness a little history here today with the first episode of the Barroom QB. And what would a new podcast be without a little reggaeton air horn in the back? One more time for good measure. If I can get this shit to play. Anyway, all jokes aside, thank you for joining me here this afternoon. The Barroom QB will be an Ohio-based sports podcast, and with about 9 weeks, a little bit more than 9 weeks out from the start of Ohio State football season, we're going to do a position-by-position breakdown, kind of go over the state of the position, players leaving, players coming in, what we have returning, and just give our overarching theme of how we think this season's about to go. My pie in the sky, we're going to eventually get a few more people in here with me, and we won't be doing it at school, so we'll have a little bit more freedom. Obviously, with the name, we'll probably have a few drinks and just sit around and bullshit about sports like people like to do when they're at the bar watching the games. I mean, anyone that I know is at the bar, they're the expert after like a beer or two, so I'm sure you and all your friends are like that as well. So my idea was, with the natural progression, start from the outside, work our way in, go offense first, defense second. So today we're going to be talking about the wide receiver position at Ohio State currently. And as I think everyone knows, we have a lot leaving, some big shoes to fill for some guys, and then some guys who we got lucky that stayed and will help kind of lessen the load for some of these young guys coming in. But as we know, Paris Campbell leaves, getting drafted in the second round, 59th overall, and that's the biggest shoes to fill. I mean, you just had to flick him the ball out in the open space and watch this boy run, and I think he's going to do fantastic things for the Indianapolis Colts, because other than T.Y., they don't really have a lot in the receiving core. I mean, Eric Ebron had a big year, but I think he can do a lot, but he's walking out of a 1,000-yard, over a 1,000-plus yard season with 12 touchdowns. Then we also lose Terry McLaurin, who shot up draft boards and ended up going in the third round to the Washington Redskins with our boy, Dwayne Haskins, and we'll get to him a little bit later in this series. But then, again, you're talking about another 700-yard, 10-plus touchdown guy walking out the door. And then finally, Johnny Dixon, he didn't get drafted, but he got a shot with the Houston Texans down there in the AFC South playing with Deshaun Watson. So if he also had about 700 yards and 8 touchdowns as well. So you're talking about well over 2,000 yards and about 30-some touchdowns walking out the door. So these guys have their work cut out for them when it comes to what we still have on the roster and what we need to fill in. Now, we caught a huge break, in my opinion, with the fact that K.J. Hill stayed and decided not to go to the NFL. I mean, you're talking about a guy who probably would have been a 3rd to 5th round pick himself and probably could have made a very, very good career starting off this season in the NFL. I think he'll be a great possession receiver, and with the type of hands he has, that's how you stick around for a long time as your fleet-footedness kind of fades. If you can catch the ball and make plays like he has shown throughout his time here in Columbus, I think you can stick around a long time as a really good slot receiver in the NFL. So we got him coming back. We also hopefully have a healthy Austin Mack and Ben Victor. I mean, both of them have been a lot more speculation of what they can be, like just more potential than what they've actually brought. I mean, at times they both flashed. Austin Mack 2 years ago in the Oklahoma game, he was the only receiver making big plays. Last year, when we needed a big play the most against Penn State over in Happy Valley, Ben Victor comes up huge and scores a touchdown for us. And hopefully these guys, this is their last run. They're both seniors now, so if they can put it all together, that would be awesome. But one guy coming back that didn't play a ton last year until the end of the season that I'm super excited for is Chris Olave. He only had 12 catches, 197 yards, and 3 touchdowns. But every time that you saw him on the field, whether he was just converting a third down or he was scoring a touchdown or he was blocking a punt, it didn't matter what he was doing on the field. If he got on the field, he made a play. And I think he is in store for a huge season this year, being more of a featured weapon on offense. And then a couple guys who, one, I think can really make an impact, and two, I think he might be getting passed up in his time here in Columbus. Jalen Gill could fill in super nice at the H-back spot. I mean, if you watch the spring game, he was a very, very heavily focal point for this offense, and Ryan Day just kind of getting a feel for how they can use him. And he only had one catch for 11 yards last year, but the class of 2018, he was a number 30 recruit overall and the number 2 all-purpose back. So he's got the pedigree, and if you watched anything of him in high school, I mean, he was a dominant force. I remember seeing a story where it was one of the first scrimmages of the year, or first games of the year, one of the two, and a bunch of kids were talking crap to him because they tackled him for a loss on the first play, and he proceeded to score a touchdown on all of his 3 or 4 touches after that, and had 200 yards from scrimmage and 3 touchdowns on 6 touches all day. So talk about a game breaker. He could be a huge cog for this offense next year. And then we also have Jalen Harris, who, huge-bodied kid, had 2 catches for 22 yards last year. A lot of people thought maybe he would be the one to step up last year, but it never kind of came to fruition. And he's got the pedigree as well. He was the number 177th player in the class of 17 and number 28 wide receiver. And if he doesn't carve out a role this year with the young guys who we have coming in and this incoming freshman class, the 2019 kids, and then the kids who are coming in 2020, I mean, he's probably never going to get a chance to play here at Ohio State, and he'll probably be just sitting on the bench. I mean, it's tough to say, but homeboy's got to step up and do something soon. So that kind of brings us to who we have coming in and kind of go on with things from there. Incoming freshman-wise, we have Garrett Wilson, who was a huge get out of the Texas area from Lake Travis, where we also got Matthew Baldwin, who's now gone. And according to reports, this kid's a real deal. I mean, if you saw him in the spring game, absolute beast and a monster at the position. And I think he has a chance to break some Ohio State freshman records for what he can potentially do for this team this year. And the opportunity, it just lines up well for him with so many receivers going to the league for him to get a lot of PT this upcoming season. We also have Jamison Williams, the number 82 nationally ranked prospect, a big-bodied receiver from Missouri. And then Craig Young, who is kind of like a tweener right now. The kid's 6'4", 200 pounds, and I've seen things where he might play receiver, he might play tight end, he might play linebacker, safety, D-end. I mean, in my personal opinion, I would love to see him try to work him around and have Larry Johnson get his hands on him, and we could be looking at the second coming of Sam Hubbard, a guy a little bit less recruited than a lot of these other big prospects that we get here, but nonetheless a guy who's a really, really good athlete, and they can't find a spot for him, and then you get him, put a little weight on him. He's already 200 pounds at 6'4", so he gets into Mickey Mariotti system and gets a little weight on him, and Larry Johnson schools him up. I think he could be probably an elite pass rusher eventually. A little bit of a developmental kid. And then as far as 2020, it's unreal what Brian Hartline's been able to do in his first full year as Ohio State's receivers coach, bringing in 3 top 100 recruits nationally, all at receiver, the number 1 receiver and number 5 prospect, Julian Fleming. We got Gee Scott Jr., who, if you haven't seen any of his highlight videos, woo-wee, this boy can freaking play. I mean, he might be the gem of the class, in my opinion, just from things I've seen so far and the level of competition he's been playing against, and still making these kids look ridiculous. And then we top off the class with Jackson Smith and Jigba out of Texas, the number 89 prospect nationally. So, as you can see, the state of the position moving forward is in fantastic hands. And you got to love the fact that we have Brian Hartline here, and just seeing what he's doing so far on the recruiting trail, he's quickly becoming one of the best recruiters, maybe the second best recruiter on the staff behind Larry Johnson in very short time. And you got to love what he's doing just from the fact that he can go out and pitch these young kids like, hey, come to Ohio State. I played in the NFL. I'll show you how to get to the NFL. I'll show you how to stay in the NFL, because he had a pretty lengthy career compared to the average career of an NFL player. And he's selling them and he's winning them over, because we got nothing but studs coming in here now. As far as my concerns for the position this upcoming season, it's just youth and a little bit of uncertainty with if some of the older guys are going to step up or not. Like I said, Austin Mack and Ben Victor have been a little bit more potential than they have been actual product on the field, but they both flashed at times. Jalen Harris, he's been all potential, hasn't really done much. And if we can get some of these younger guys to step up, or some of these older guys to step up who haven't yet with their last runs they really have, that's what's going to come down to whether this is like a great season for Ohio State or not. We always know that the run game's going to be there, and whether it's with Day or Urban or Tressel, we've ran the ball extremely well. But at times we haven't been able to throw the rock, and if we can't get solid play from the receiver room, then it's going to be a long season because teams will just stack the box against us and make it really hard on us on offense. And if we saw anything, if the defense is just marginally improved and not much improved from last year, we're going to need to score some points at times. So me personally, best case scenario, these kids step up, take right off from where we were last year, and Justin Fields has another Heisman finalist caliber season. Just follows up what Dwayne did the year before, and we see what could be a new evolution of offense at Ohio State. Last year, whenever Dwayne broke JT's records, JT's records when he broke the records here at Ohio State weren't even in the top 50 seasons or careers nationally ever. So if you look around the landscape of college football, we've been kind of in the dark ages, at least in terms of throwing the football, since the inception of the program. And we've never really had a prolific passing offense. Just look at the record books, look at the receivers and the quarterbacks' numbers over their career. Not saying that we didn't have fantastic quarterbacks and particularly fantastic receivers. I mean, look at the NFL with the guys we've been able to put up there, like Michael Thomas, Terry Glenn, Joey Galloway, just to name a few, Chris Carter. And we just have never been a prolific passing offense. We've always relied on the run. And I think we really could have a chance if these guys continue to develop with Brian Hartline and Ryan Day's system to really see a whole new era of Ohio State football, at least offensively. Some potential breakouts for me. Obviously, I love Chris Olave. I think Jalen Gill and Garrett Wilson, I think we're all going to be pleasantly surprised with what these three guys bring to the table this year and moving forward. I mean, we're talking about some sophomores and freshmen, and if they're all that I think they can be this year, just wait 1 year down the road whenever these guys have a full year of full PT experience. And on top of that, they have Justin Fields has a full year of experience. It's going to be pretty fun to watch. I mean, it's going to be fun this fall just to see what Day does and how this coaching staff meshes together, but next year, I think, can be a really, really special year offensively for the Ohio State Buckeyes. And moving forward, I mean, you got to love what's going on in Columbus right now, especially in the receivers room. You're talking about Brian Hartline going out and beating everyone for some of the best top-end recruits in the country. And the thing I love, all these receivers, real big-bodied. The guys coming in, Garrett Wilson, 6 foot, Jamison Williams, 6'2", Julian Fleming, 6'2", Gee Scott, almost 6'3", and Jackson Smith and Jigba, 6'1". Nothing but big-bodied guys who not like huge guys, but at the same point in time, still big physical receivers who can block on the outside and make some plays. So moving forward, you got to love it. And I guess that's going to wrap it up for today. And we'll be back again next week and dive into tight ends and offensive line. And like I said, we're just going to keep moving from the outside in and wrap up the last Friday before the season with a little schedule preview and a little breakdown of that. Hopefully by then we're at a bar someplace with a couple of my buddies. Nice little 3-man weave going on and have a nice debate and not just me over here ranting for no reason, making you guys listen to that. But I want to thank everyone who tuned in for enjoying me. Be sure to like, subscribe, comment, share, whatever you can. I greatly appreciate it. Thanks for tuning in.
What's up, guys? Thanks for sticking around. And it wouldn't be the Barroom QB if we didn't go over a little mixology at the end. So being that we went over wide receivers this week, I was kind of looking through some football-themed cocktails, and I stumbled upon one called the Red Zone. And what better drink to make if we're talking about wide receivers in the red zone? Because everyone knows if you're playing out wide, the whole purpose is to score, look pretty, and get your picture in the paper. So this is a super easy cocktail to make. All you really need is any type of vodka. We're going to be using Effin vodka today. A little bit of peach schnapps, some cranberry juice, some sour, nice little highball glass. Ooh. and shaker tin. And then, of course, always want to have some nice garnish game. Oops. And get a nice little apple fan ready for yourself. So, what we're going to do, take our highball glass, fill it up with ice, 1 ounce of whatever vodka you choose. Come back, take your peach schnapps, just a 1/2 ounce of it. Then fill the glass up mostly with cranberry. And then finish it off with some sour. Just a little splash there on top. Take your shaker tin, give it a nice shake. It's a little bubbly still from the shake, so it's a little washed out, but theoretically it should be a nice red color. And then take your beautiful apple fan, make sure it's looking nice and pretty, and just sit it across there on top like that. And there you go, the red zone. Barroom QB, thanks for sticking around, guys. Remember, like, subscribe, comment, share, let people know. This is the first episode of many to come, and I appreciate you guys sticking through to the end. Thank you.